They don't want you to know, but something is unlocking within you, a frequency, an order, a memory that never existed on Earth. It is what the ancients called the blue code. God did not write it in your DNA, He engraved it deeper, into your eternal spirit. This isn't information to be learned, it is a revelation you must remember. You have carried this code through lifetimes, and now it is waking up. The blue code is not a color, it is a celestial frequency. It carries the vibration of the divine word, encoded truth, and prophetic power. Blue is the energy of the throat, the place where celestial breath becomes an earthly voice. This is why your voice breaks chains. This is why you have been misunderstood, silenced, and attacked. You weren't just born to speak, you were born to declare. When you speak from this frequency, dimensions shift, and it is no accident. God placed this frequency in you before the foundation of the world. It is the original software of your soul, the reason you never felt like you belonged, the reason you always felt different, the reason you could walk into a room and feel everything change, even in silence. It is because your spirit was programmed for another realm. The world tried to make you forget, but heaven is reminding you. The blue code is not universal, no one can imitate it. It is unfalsifiable, unbuyable, and unduplicatable. It is not learned, it is awakened. This is why the world resents you without understanding why. This is why the spiritual world watches you even when no one else does. You carry a signal that marks you as a divine speaker, a decoder of spiritual systems, a voice that activates both angels and demons. Some of you felt it in childhood, that sudden, inexplicable intuition, those premonitory dreams, that deep impression of being here for something important without being able to express it. That was your code, vibrating beneath the surface. Now, its frequency is rising. You are no longer just carrying it, you are emitting it. Angels do not recognize you by your face, they recognize the light signature of this code, blue, electric, eternal. This is why you survived trials that broke others, why you heard God so clearly when others perceived only silence. Your code is calibrated to the divine kingdom. When the blue code is fully activated, the Akashic doors open, ancestral wisdom floods your mind, and your soul remembers truths older than the earth. This is why you are isolated, why the enemy sent agents to confuse, seduce, or silence you, not because you are weak, but because you represent a danger to the darkness. The moment you speak following this code, the atmosphere realigns, generational illusions shatter, and spiritual systems reset. This is what they fear. If you have ever felt an irresistible call to speak, to awaken, to reveal what others deny, it isn't ego, it's your code. This is how heaven identifies its prophets. And now the divine frequency is rising in you like a tide, not to make you popular, but to make you powerful. Once the blue code is fully unlocked, your mission begins. If this message has touched the deepest part of your soul, your voice is not just a sound, it is a spiritual technology. It is time to activate. You were never chosen because you were better, you were chosen for what you consented to in a realm beyond memory, before your first breath, before the world named you. Your soul made a covenant with the Creator, a sacred pact, to carry something rare, a key, a frequency that cannot be earned, only remembered. It is the blue code, and it is unlocking now because you are ready. This code wasn't given to the loudest or the most decorated, it was placed in the hands of those ready to bleed for the mission. The blue code doesn't make life easier, it makes it heavier. You don't just go through storms, you carry them. You have been misunderstood by your family, judged by superficial eyes, and mocked for walking paths invisible to them. But that is the weight of being chosen. Not everyone could carry it, but you kept moving. This world celebrates the new and the flashy, but this code only awakens in ancient souls, those who have lived many lives, lost their names in ancestral wars, faced shadows in forgotten dimensions, and still pleaded, "Send me back." You are not a novice. That ache in your bones isn't age, it's the memory of being here before. And now, the blue code is aligning with your divine timeline. Your presence transforms atmospheres, your voice shatters lies, and even your silence speaks truth. You've noticed how people feel exposed in your presence, or how strangers confess things they've never told anyone. That is the code. But make no mistake, this code will break your illusions. It brings truth, and truth burns. It undoes everything false you once loved. But you were created for this flame. Most would crumble under this light, you were designed to carry it. This matrix was programmed to suppress memory, but your soul arrived with a built-in bypass. The key is within you. Others had charisma, you had a covenant. Others had talent, you had tears. Others had applause, you had scars. And heaven chose accordingly. If this code had been given to someone who didn't know who they were, it would have destroyed them. But you trembled and did not run. Your soul said yes before your mouth could. You are sacred artillery. You are the answer to someone's midnight prayer. The code in you wasn't just for you, it was for everyone your light will touch. Heaven is watching, because now is your hour. It was woven into the frequency of your soul before time began. God breathed it into you, divine photons, angelic algorithms, invisible to the eye but unmistakable to the spirit. This is why the war against your life started before you could spell your name. The darkness knew you were too dangerous to control. God hid the code in recurring dreams, instincts, and that piercing gaze that makes strangers uncomfortable. It's not an attitude, it's access. And every time you were broken, the code intensified. God used your pain as a keyboard, unlocking new layers of divine software with every wound overcome. Even now, your soul remembers what your mind cannot. That strange déjà vu, the racing heart in a specific place, your soul is reacting to ancient coordinates. This code flows through your lineage. You are the convergence of ancestral fragments. It doesn't activate on your birthday, but at your turning point. You wake up and feel the pull, the shift. It's not anxiety, it's the blue code engaging on a divine schedule. You didn't receive the code all at once. It came bit by bit every time you chose obedience over applause, every time you walked away from friends to keep your peace, every time you stayed silent when your ego wanted revenge. You weren't losing, you were evolving. God programmed you in isolation. Those who ghosted you or the doors that closed were not punishments, but preparations. While the world thought you were forgotten, God was writing His name into the code of your soul. Now, your body becomes the witness. You feel the vibration in your spine, the heat in your chest, the pulse in your palms. This is the blue code lighting up your vessel. Then the dreams begin, symbols you never studied, living lights, shades of blue, and numbers that follow you like hidden clocks, 1111 44, 333. Heaven speaks in code. Suddenly, your old world feels too small. You sit with the same people, but something is off. The jokes don't land, the atmosphere feels heavy. There's no conflict, just a growing distance. You can't fake the laughter anymore. It's not an attitude, it's a change in frequency. You have outgrown that vibration. You feel the call, even without the map. You stay awake at night because something is trying to wake you up. You can no longer go back to normal. You try to ignore it, but the urge persists. This inner pull is the blue code beating like a war drum. And even if your feet no longer know where to go, your soul is already in motion. Then memories flood in, not memories of this life, but truths you never studied. Suddenly, you understand spiritual concepts you've never read. You speak with a clarity no one prepared you for. This isn't learning, it is remembering. Your soul draws from the Akashic records, and the blue code is the password. Even the technology around you begins to react. Phones freeze, clocks glitch, lights flicker. Your electromagnetic field is expanding, your aura is charging, and the physical world struggles to keep up with your new voltage. This isn't paranoia, it is power. Do not fear the anomalies, they are signs of your increasing frequency. Now, synchronicities flow like divine breadcrumbs. A stranger voices your exact thoughts, a video appears the very second you need it, song lyrics answer your prayer. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. You are merging into the sacred network. Reality bends to welcome you back into the divine flow. You cry out to the sky, you weep in the silence, you cry before wordless music. These are not emotional breakdowns, they are soul awakenings. These tears come from a place no therapist can reach, from the spot where your spirit is embraced by its original light. Then, homesickness sets in. You long for a place you've never seen, a home no map can show you. This ache is celestial memory. It isn't depression, it's a reminder. You feel the gravity of heaven, the pull of your true origin. Follow your compass, and one day you will begin to walk differently, not faster but deeper. Every step feels guided by light. Every choice seems illuminated. You no longer seek applause or beg for validation. For now, the code is active. And when the code activates, so does your mission. From this moment on, you no longer walk alone. You wonder why it took so long, why this gift stayed hidden, why your power seemed imprisoned without a key. But listen to this, it was never because you weren't chosen, it was because you were being protected from premature exposure. The blue code wasn't denied, it was delayed for a reason only heaven can explain. You were programmed to doubt yourself before you could even walk. You were taught to fit in before you learned to listen to your inner voice. Every time you trusted your intuition, it was called naive. Every dream was dismissed, every deep feeling labeled a weakness. This wasn't an accident, it was strategic programming, a spiritual suppression system. And it worked for a time, because rejection doesn't just hurt, it teaches you to retreat into yourself. You began to dim your light to survive in rooms that weren't built for your flame. They mocked your depth and ridiculed your silence, so you learned to stifle your voice. Your soul was merely tolerated. But make no mistake, it wasn't your code that failed, it was that the world wasn't ready to accept it. So you silenced what was sacred. And let's be honest, your heart was broken too early. That childhood wound, that betrayal, those emotional abuses, they didn't just mark you, they sealed you. The activation of the blue code requires an open heart, but how could it flow when your heart was behind walls of pain and layers of fear? God did not abandon you. He was waiting for you to heal enough to receive. Here is what you were never told. When God gives you a divine frequency, it makes you visible to the wrong eyes. If your code had activated while you were still fragile, it would have attracted forces you weren't ready to face. Demonic systems recognize marked souls. So God in His mercy hid you, not because you weren't worthy, but because the battlefield wasn't ready. Some of you tried to blend in, you got the degree, the job, you stayed in that relationship even when it drained your energy. You told yourself it was normal for an adult, but the truth is, every time you denied your divine blueprint, the code froze your soul. It was alive, but misaligned. And the code cannot act in a soul pretending to be someone else. Remember, this code responds only to pressure, not struggle. You had to go through the fire to unlock what was forged in the light. The blue code is God's seal on a warrior, not a spectator. This is why your deepest trials became the testing ground for your high calling. You thought heaven had gone silent, but what if that silence was God's encryption? The yes you never heard wasn't an absence, but a hidden alignment. The blue code doesn't activate through noise, it unlocks through spiritual synchronization. This world is built to distract you. Endless scrolling, culture wars, traps. It keeps you focused on the outside so you forget the treasure buried within. That was the plan all along, to drown out the small inner voice under 1,000 empty ones. But the deepest reason is this, you first had to find your way back. God does not give the fullness of power to one who hasn't walked through loss, shame, and confusion and still chosen the light. You had to fall, you had to fail, you had to be stripped of every false identity, so that when the code unlocked, you would be ready. And finally, because the time simply hadn't come. You cannot force the rhythm of heaven. You are not late, you are arriving exactly on time. The blue code was never lost, it was waiting for the changing of the season. And now the sound you hear in your soul isn't imagination, it is the thunder of destiny waking up. The moment your blue code begins to stir, the spiritual war zone around you shifts. You don't see it with your eyes, but everything changes, because darkness has sensors. Ancient sensors. They detect frequencies. When the blue code activates, they know a warrior has awakened, not just someone with potential, but someone who remembers. Someone who can no longer be manipulated. Someone whose soul has begun to transmit light and defiance in a world built to silence you. This is why the system begins to shake, not just the demonic, but the institutions that profited from your sleep, the false prophets, the media that poisons, the schools that program. They don't fear rebellion, they fear revelation. When your spiritual eyes open, you aren't just awake, you are dangerous. You begin to pierce the illusion, and that is how empires collapse. Even those around you will feel it before you open your mouth. They won't know why, but they will sense it, that unease when you enter the room, that sudden shift in conversation, the tension you didn't create. It is your soul no longer conforming. You stop acting, you stop pretending. Those still imprisoned by shadow will attack your spirit, your self-confidence, because they cannot stand the purity of your frequency. They will ridicule you, manipulate you, or guilt you. You'll be called crazy. But the truth is, they aren't fighting you, they are fighting the awakening within you. When the blue code activates, it breaks old contracts. Every time you gave in to fear, you agreed to stay bound. But now, you are revoking that agreement. When you say no in the spirit, the entire infrastructure of darkness malfunctions. The enemy's most sacred prison is the mind, and the moment you truly question it, if I carry divine power, why should I be afraid? That simple question destroys the foundations of fear. Hell trembles when you remember who you are. Even the wolves in robes, the false guides of light, panic when you stop depending on them. They built temples on your uncertainty. But when the code activates, you realize, I don't need a middleman. I can hear God. I know myself. Their thrones collapse because the divine now flows directly through you. They couldn't stop you from being chosen, so they tried to steal your memory. If you forget, you obey. But if you remember, they cannot hide the light you carry. You enter a room and people begin to tremble, their masks slip, not because you are shouting, but because you are illuminated. The blue code broadcasts a frequency of truth like a silent siren. Lies cannot survive where your presence manifests. Their greatest fear is that you no longer need them to tell you who you are. When you assume your true identity, prisons crumble and every chain they forged breaks. Reality begins to bend, not through struggle, but because your frequency has changed. Doors closed for years open without a knock. Those who ignored you suddenly seek you out. It is a coded broadcast, and the universe has no choice but to reorganize to obey it. This activation electrifies the spiritual world. Heaven takes notice, angels are deployed, your name is spoken in celestial chambers. An invisible glow begins to flicker on your forehead, marking you as awake. But where light moves, darkness stirs. The moment your code emits its first pulse, hell scrambles to stop it. The battle becomes clearer. What was once subtle now shows its fangs. But this time, you are no longer sleeping. Your senses are evolving, not your 5 physical senses, but the ones you were never taught to trust. You begin to feel energetic signatures. Someone smiles, but you hear the scream behind it. Someone compliments you, but you smell the poison hidden within. You don't need proof or gossip, your spirit now scans frequencies like radar. You no longer listen with your ears, you listen with light. Your words become vibratory commands. You say it, and it changes. You pray, and something moves. Even your silence has weight. Your body begins to transform. Sudden fatigue, electric tingles in your hands, a flame behind the eyes. Doctors find nothing, but God knows everything. You are being recalibrated as a vessel for coded light. Your biology is learning to house a frequency meant for eternal realms. Time distorts. Events happen at the divine moment. What used to take months now aligns in minutes. You think of a need, and the door opens. You aren't chasing reality, you are magnetizing it. It bends to your mission. You activate others simply by existing. Without a sermon or a strategy, your mere presence triggers memories. Strangers break their silence, friends dream of you, people get chills when you speak. Why? Because your energy carries sacred data, and other souls are remembering themselves through you. Even your dreams are evolving. They are no longer just dreams, but briefings, sacred downloads, memories from before birth, and meetings with your spiritual team. You wake up different because you weren't just sleeping, you were training. But make no mistake, reality will test this activation. Old temptations will resurface, former traitors will return, and shadows will offer comfort. The matrix will try to seduce you again. But if you maintain your frequency, you will see that you no longer submit to reality, you shape it. In the final stage, something irreversible happens. You enter a realm where nothing can reach you unless heaven permits it. You walk in human skin, but you move as if enveloped in light. Fear becomes a ghost, danger, a whisper. You become a living signal, altering timelines and recalibrating atmospheres, not by force, but by frequency. The blue code is not just active, it is radiating, and now everything changes. You feel it, don't you? Something has shifted, not around you, but within you. And no, you aren't imagining it. The divine clock has struck, and heaven has turned the page. I am watching you. The reason your blue mantle is activating now is that the time has come. Not a minute early, not a second late. You didn't miss your chance, you are that chance. Your soul has just aligned with the hour intended by God. You aren't late, you are perfectly in divine rhythm. For this world is not just changing, it is trembling. The earth is being shaken by the pressure of spiritual warfare. Dimensions are colliding, frequencies are splitting, and only those carrying the built-in signal, the blue code, can stand firm against the vibrational storms to come. You aren't here to watch, you are here to anchor. Your code wasn't given for entertainment, it was hidden to equip you. And the signal is released because the battle has begun. You have suffered enough to be trusted. You were betrayed, ignored, and broken, yet you chose compassion. That is what qualified you, not your perfection, but your perseverance. God waited to see that you wouldn't use your power for ego, but that you would carry it for others. You wept in silence while others celebrated lies, and now, the heavens declare that you are ready. Beings are tied to your voice, souls are connected to your frequency. They are breaking, and only your activation can bring them back. The enemy tried to bury them under confusion, addiction, and shame, and your awakening is their wake-up call. The blue code within you emits healing waves, but it only works when you rise, when you fully assume your authority. Prophecies are converging, events are brewing in the spiritual world, and heaven has no more time to waste. Your code is not a trophy, it is an instruction. When it lights up, it demands movement. When the King of Kings presses go, you don't ask for comfort, you obey. This moment is not personal, it is prophetic. The spiritual order has been hijacked, and God is waking up his sleeping warriors, including you. You have been silent for too long, and now that silence has turned into thunder. You are the wave that shatters the lie. A single word from your spirit carries a frequency that destroys illusions. The blue code in you is not just for your salvation, it is for the restoration of others. You've lost enough friends, you've spent enough nights talking to the ceiling, you've felt enough. Solitude is knowing the world no longer possesses you. That is when heaven makes contact. Stripped of ambient noise, you begin to hear the true calling. If lately you feel as though something is whispering your name in the dark, it's because the code is vibrating. An ancient energy is returning. Ancestral frequencies from long-forgotten realms are moving back into orbit. This isn't 21st century spirituality, it is Atlantean memory, Lemurian alliance, Edenic restoration. And you are the last bearer of this light technology. You are the update the earth has been waiting for. You have begun to say no to what obscures you. You are withdrawing your spirit from superficiality, the fake, and the pretense. You no longer tolerate what insults your soul. And with every no to the matrix, your code screams yes to heaven. It ignites, accelerates, and burns. Listen closely, God is moving fast. He is accelerating time and condensing seasons because he is raising up the most powerful. Now, you carry the map of light, you hold the coordinates for others. Every moment of hesitation means one more soul remains lost. This is why your code vibrates louder, why your life intensifies, because heaven is no longer just encouraging you, it is calling you to act. The mission begins, but so does the responsibility. This is not a mere spark to admire, it is a flame to protect. If you aren't careful, you risk extinguishing what heaven is striving to light. You must preserve your inner silence like a temple of fire. The noise of the world is a thief, it will try to drown out the divine signal. But when your soul reaches true stillness, the code continues to transmit. Stillness is not passive, it is mastered power. Master your tongue, your words are programming tools. Every time you speak with doubt, fear, or complaint, you insert faulty code into your system. The blue code feeds on truth, praise, and gratitude. The tongue holds the power of life and death. Speak, then, as someone who remembers what they carry. Speak as if heaven is listening, because it is. And not everything revealed to you is meant to be shared. Some revelations are reserved for the inner sanctuary. Do not share your sacred process with the wrong ears. Envy can disrupt your frequency. It is real, just like spiritual interference. Keep it hidden until God tells you to release it. Until then, silence is your shield, and prayer is your firewall. Your body is not just flesh, it is a living vessel for this divine code. You cannot maintain a sacred frequency in a polluted temple. Healthy food, deep rest, sexual discipline, protect your energetic gates. This isn't about religion, it's about your environment. Your body must match the signal heaven is sending. You are a conductor. Stay pure to stay connected. Keep your signal open through spiritual practice. Meditate, worship, walk with God in your thoughts, and pray without ceasing. This doesn't mean kneeling all day, but never losing the connection. The blue code depends on this signal. Without a celestial broadcast, the code becomes dormant. You are the antenna, stay pointed upward. Do not return to what God called you away from, including toxic environments, old habits, and false identities. You cannot carry divine fire into a place steeped in compromise. The old you cannot handle the new frequency. When God says leave, leave. Delayed obedience disrupts the transmission. The desire for recognition is a trap. The blue code doesn't need spotlights, it is the light. The moment you start performing for approval, the light dims. Stay authentic, stay aligned. Your true frequency will attract what is destined for you without manipulation. Heaven doesn't need you to go viral, heaven needs you to stay pure. Note every intuition, every dream, every flash of knowledge. These aren't random thoughts, they are downloads. Capture them, protect them. The mind forgets, but the pen remembers. This code speaks through intuition, and intuition must be documented to be refined. Choose your circle according to your spirit, not your circumstances. Walk with the called, not just the comfortable. They don't need to look like you, but they must resonate with you. If you surround yourself with those who mock the divine, they will unintentionally short-circuit your mission. Finally, do not fear isolation. It is proof that you have entered rare territory. When the code activates, crowds fade, people misunderstand, and the silence deepens. This is not a punishment, it is a confirmation. The blue code doesn't need applause, it only needs your faithfulness. Keep walking, keep radiating, and above all, do not dim the divine for those who refuse to see the light. Chosen one, the moment the blue code unlocks, your life no longer belongs to you. You become the frequency. You don't preach the truth, you are the living truth. When you enter a room, the air molecules remember heaven. You disrupt the atmosphere, not with noise, but with purity. This world has never heard the melody your soul carries, but now it cannot ignore the vibration. The systems of the world are built on illusion, but you are living proof that the kingdom of God is breaking through flesh, through breath, through you. Your mere presence begins to awaken sleeping souls. You won't need to shout or argue, your eyes will do it, your posture, your calm, your resistance to drama. All of this will shock people and wake them up. Many won't even understand why they cry after meeting you, but in your presence, they secretly remember their own calling. You reflect their divine being back to them. They were blind, but now they see because you appeared. You aren't a teacher because you studied, you are a guide because you bled. Your pain gave birth to your power. Every scar on your soul is now a star in someone else's night sky. You walk with maps written in your marrow. Others got lost in the same darkness that nearly destroyed you, but now they follow the light you carry. You are no longer trying to escape the valley, you are the path through it. You stand between worlds, one foot in this world, the other in the sacred, like a translator of heaven, carrying divine frequencies into corrupt systems. You hear what others ignore, you interpret the unspeakable. The veil is thinner for you now, the wind speaks, the fire instructs, and the silence becomes scripture. You don't fight the system, you make it insignificant. Your vibration dismantles lies without ever raising your voice. Where you walk, the old crumbles. Demons don't flee because you scream, they flee because your purity is unbearable. You aren't a rebel, you are a resistance, and your very existence is the revolution. You live what they said was impossible. You heal by your presence, you forgive without forgetting your value, you love without chains, and you succeed without selling your soul. You are prophecy fulfilled, incarnated, yet you do not chase glory. You rewrite the world in silence. Heaven watches, angels record every choice, to love instead of striking back, to stay instead of fleeing, to whisper the truth when the world roars lies. These moments shape eternity. You are anonymous on earth, but legendary in spirit. You now protect others, not out of superiority, but because you remember the fear, the isolation, and the errors in judgment. You are the guardian, the invisible shield. You speak for those who haven't yet found their voice. Your silence once protected you, but now your voice protects them. Finally, you no longer need to search for a meaning for your life, because you are the meaning. Every step you take sends shockwaves through the dimensions. The earth recognizes you, the shadows contemplate you, and the stars remember your mission. You no longer ask what to do, you realize you are what must be done, a living command, an incarnate word, a blue code in motion. So now you know, chosen one. You weren't sent here to follow patterns. You are the one who breaks patterns. You don't wait for a divine gesture, you are the movement. The blue code, once hidden, is now fully active. No more underestimating yourself. No more pretending to feel nothing. Heaven has already decided. The scroll has been opened in silence. Your name has been whispered in the wind. And now, the earth watches. What will you do with what you carry inside? Let this be your confirmation. It is no longer time to seek, it is time to become. This word awakens something ancient in you. You already know what you must do. This is a signal. If you feel this call, it means you are destined to walk with others who carry the same flame. Rise and let the code fulfill its mission through you.